Hello everyone. I'm going to read you another story today. The story is called Big Enemy, Bigger God, and it's the story of a man named Gideon. Big Enemy, Bigger God, the story of Gideon. God's people had done wrong. They fought and they argued and they cheated, and God punished them. A great army attacked their country. The Israelites were scared. They ran away and hid in caves. Then the people prayed for help. God heard their prayers. He gave them a leader whose name was Gideon. Gideon gathered an army. It had thousands of men. 32,000 men. But God said, "Your army's way too big." So Gideon told them, "Anyone who is scared can go home." Lots of men went straight home. Now Gideon's army was much smaller. But God said, "Your army is still too big." So Gideon took his men to a stream. "Have a drink," said Gideon. Most of the men put their faces into the river to drink. Gideon sent all these men home. A few cupped water in their hands. They stayed. Now Gideon had only 300 men. He was scared. What could he do with such a small army? So God said, "Go to the enemy's camp and listen to what they have to say." "I had a silly dream," Gideon heard a man say. "A loaf of bread bounced into our camp and knocked over a tent." "Oh," said his friend, "that means Gideon will defeat us." Gideon was glad when he heard this. He could hardly keep from jumping up and down. So Gideon went back happily to his own camp. "God will help us win," he said. Next, Gideon gave every man a sword, a trumpet, and a torch hidden in a jar. Gideon's men surrounded the enemy's camp. Then Gideon blew his trumpet and smashed his jar. The torch's light shone out. Immediately, Gideon's men threw their trumpets and smashed their jars. "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon," they shouted. The enemy soldiers were terrified. They all ran away in their pajamas. God gave Gideon and his little army a great big victory. The people were safe at last. "Please rule over us," they said to Gideon. "No," he said, "God has made us safe again. God will rule over us." I hope you loved the story. I love the story of Gideon because it reminds me of how great our God is and of the wonderful, amazing things he can do. And it doesn't matter what we face. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. What matters is that we need to put our trust in God and we need to ask for his help. And when we ask for his help, he can do great, amazing things that we wouldn't even imagine. What is that great thing that you might be scared of? What is that great thing you're facing and that you need God's help with? All you have to do is ask.